because of the law. It's my opinion. So we Westerners also have inherited of that. And not the Chinese, for instance, not the Africans. The third evolutionary leap is not third in the time because it's the Bible, but there too it would take a very long time. But the Bible has changed completely two things in culture. It has changed the morals and the perception of time. In sort of for pagan morals, and as it was, as this natural moral was conveyed by Greek philosophers, the morals consist of not making evil, behaving well, but morals consist of in reciprocity. I behave well with you, and you behave well with me. But if you don't, I don't, because if you are bad with me, I get rid of you. And in particular, if somebody suffers because of me, I am responsible of that. So I must réparer, because I am responsible of that. But if you suffer and I am not responsible, just suffer, I walk through. Okay? And what is completely new with the gospel, it's true. It is already true with the prophets of the Old Testament, is that you must feel responsible even of a suffering you have not caused, and it is the sense of the good Samaritan. The good Samaritan passes on a road, and he sees somebody who has been hurted, and he is not responsible of that, but he helps this man. So, and this was magnificently explained by Emmanuel Levinas. Emmanuel Levinas, who explained the responsibility for the other, who defines the biblical ethics like a responsibility for the other, and even responsibility for the responsibility of the other, which is extraordinary, because it means that if the other is ugly, is wicked, it's my fault, because perhaps because I have not done everything I could have done to prevent him to be wicked. So perhaps you can say he should be good, and he should be good with me. But this is his affair. My affair is that the good prevails finally. So if he is not good, it's up to me to make him becoming good. So if he's, and Levinas says a very strong thing. He says that the Jews are responsible of the Shoah, which is incredible. But of course, he says that with precautions. But he wants to say that perhaps the Jews have not made all they could have made to prevent the German to become Nazi. Because if they had been better social thinkers or better... anyway, the crime of the Nazis is not only the problem of the Nazis. It's the problem of mankind. It's my problem. So once you have this moral, I could elaborate a very long time on that, but once you have these morals, which is completely different from the natural morals, which is a dissymmetrical moral, as Levinas says, you can no longer consider the time in the same way. The pagans have a circular conception of time, because the world is eternal. It has always existed. It will always exist, and nothing will change. And it's why you cannot decide to root out the evil of the world, because it would be absurd. You can only try not to add evil. It's up to you to be as good as you can. But you have not the duty to change the world. But if you feel responsible of any suffering, even the suffering you are not responsible of, you must think that world can change. Because if it cannot change, it would be absurd to love. So as soon as you have the morals of love, of evangelic love, you must have a kind of revolutionary attitude. You do not, you can, comment on dit, soulever les montagnes.
Raise up mountains?
Yes. You must and you can, how do you say? Raise mountains, yes. Yes. And so you have the idea of history. And the Bible is the first book which begins by the beginning of history, by a creation, and which ends with an end of history, a new world which will be outside history. So this is the spring, the source of our idea of history, and it is the source of the secular idea of progress. And it is very striking that no civilization, except biblical civilizations, have had the idea of progress. Some civilizations have made big progresses, like China, for instance, but they have never the concept of progress as humanity living a history and giving the change, the change of the world as an ideal. In any pagan society, the change is a danger and not a positive ideal. Okay, so that is a third miracle. And the third, of course, Bible is paid to be a miracle. The difference with Greece, but anyway, it was also something which was not necessary and which was created by the men of the Bible. And the fourth evolutionary leap, which defines the West, is that is a synthesis of the first three leaps. Because, of course, the Roman Empire became Christian very soon. But during centuries, it was only a meeting. This Greco-Roman culture met biblical culture, but there was no synthesis, because Christians were waiting for the end of the world and were not interested in developing Greek science or Roman law. And the next step, in my opinion, was made by the men of the 11th century. There is a magnificent book written by an American historian, Berman, Law and Revolution. Perhaps some of you know this book. And he explained that he proposes the concept of papal revolution, because it was a few years after the year 1000, and Europe was in perpetual private wars. It was the time where feudal times, where the state had disappeared. And there were a lot of wars everywhere. And Europe became less and less Christian.